time now to tackle the headline. And Ralphie, you've had a look at the destinations of the competition. No, this isn't an episode of Getaway, but you've hit the binoculars, you've hit the atlas, as it were, and ranked each club on their destination status. It's an index, if you will. How did you calibrate this one?
Well, Catriona round. Yes, Lauren Wood. Well, it was about things like premiership window, wildcard attraction, the culture of that football club, the location, which was really important for some of them. And so they came to 1 and 18. So clubs like Geelong have got it all. Yeah. Premiership window, a bit of surf, a bit of sand, a bit of farm life if you want to be someone like Tom Hawkins. Brisbane, of course, has just had an outstanding change of the last 12 years when the go-home five, of course, they couldn't keep anyone there. So they've been able to attract the cream of the crop with their injury prevention, the surf and the sand, only an hour down to the Gold Coast. And players, just look at their record. The likes of Charlie Cameron and Josh Dunkley and Josh Dacos, absolutely superb. And Lachie Neale, who's won a couple of Brownlows up there and a premiership. And then someone like Hawthorn is fascinating. So coming with a bullet. So they've got the whip-smart coach. They've got Hockball. They have fun. And you look at the Dingley facilities, which they could move into in the next 6 weeks. Like, they are absolutely outstanding. I know people have said it's down near Seaford, near Frankston. It's not. Those players will live in East... they'll live in places like East Brighton or potentially even Moorabbin, and they'll have an absolute ball down there. The other end of the list, which is always harder, St Kilda, West Coast and North Melbourne, the bottom three clubs. West Coast should have a point of appeal in luring players back, but it just hasn't got a great record of doing so. Yeah. St Kilda, we know the history of there of throwing so many big dollars at players, and I just thought when Josh Battle moved over to Hawthorn, even though there was no real reason, it was just the vibe of the thing, thought that was worrying. They are working so hard to try and change that. And North Melbourne, yeah, again... what's their unique facility? They've got a nice facility there, but they haven't really got a wild card, not in the premiership window. The culture's just okay. They brought a lot of players in, but at massive inflated salaries. And so everyone gets players. It's the capacity to bring them in on lesser money, or when 3 or 4 clubs want them, you get your man. That's what Hawthorn's been so good at recently. Well,
and obviously drawing in Sam Mitchell's wife, Lyndall, into all of this as well on that real family factor. I know Josh Battle, he lives in Edithvale, not just down the road from the new facility as well. So St Kilda are obviously looking to do that. Josh, you've had a big look at Tassie over the last couple of weeks. I've been scouring my recruitment pamphlet that they're handing out at the National Championships this week about everything that Tassie has to offer. Where would you slot them in on that ladder? Obviously, club aside at the moment as they're still building.
Well, they'd be number one for golf at least, wouldn't it? That's what they will tell you. But they'd have to be, I think, mid-table until we see where they land. Obviously, they're going to have more money than anyone else.
So and that's the point of difference. Yes, you're number 10 on that. That's very important.
And then you'll have players that want to build something. We saw with the Giants, they brought in players that want to be there, want to help guide the team forward, and then you get the youngsters in. They'll obviously be a very attractive destination for Tasmanian players. There's already a market built in there. So I don't know, maybe better than mid-table, maybe a 6 or a 7 and see what happens, because they're going to have an attractive and a different point to start with.
And the point of attraction in terms of wanting to lure people home, that's as strong as you'll ever see. So many Tasmanians who've left just have that powerful attraction to get back as well. So you've got a couple of those boxes ticked.
And we saw in the Code Sport player survey that the number one reason the players move is for job security and for opportunity. The Devils, are going to offer that. They're going to have positions. 18 positions are open at the moment, so if you're a good player, you will get midfield time at the Devils. You will get the chance to play at fullback if you want to. So that's an open slate for them right now.
It was an interesting result in that survey too. I mean, the breakdown on things like, as you say, job security, lifestyle becomes such a big factor. I think we hear big numbers like 1.7 for Tom de Koning getting thrown around, but I was quite surprised how small a slice of that pie was actually indicating that pay is a big factor for players. But Ralphie, this is something that's going to impact this trade period, just in the months to come. I mean, there's some big names that could potentially be on the move, and this is something that they'll weigh up.
So your point is really valid there on someone like Sam Draper, who might be something like $800,000 over 4 years at Essendon. He might be getting $1 million somewhere else, but those other places right now, they're in the premiership window. And in the case of someone like Brisbane, they've got outstanding injury prevention. And so
that's a big one for Draper, isn't it?
No doubt. So both of those clubs are high up on that destination ladder there. So Zach Merritt, again, you look at Essendon right now. I've said the wild card is basically past history. It's not current history. So they haven't really got a reason to try and keep players there. Their injury prevention's not great. The Hangers, a facility out in the middle of nowhere, really. It's windswept. It hasn't got its unique charms. And so that's why someone like Zach Merritt might look thinking of all of those different things and say, yeah, I want to win premierships. I want an elite coach. And right now I don't tick too many of those boxes, even though, of course, he said on AFL 360 he wants to stay. And someone like Desire Wanganeen-Millera. So Port Adelaide was low down in terms of that destination ladder. They've really built themselves up again. And yes, they've lost some players like Dan Houston back to Melbourne, but Yeah, I think he's every chance to get to Port Adelaide. Would love him to stay, but even just his dramas over the last few weeks and his Yochis or whatever you call them with Chase Burgoyne, they're really tight, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And as you say, everything that they're going through at the moment. But he's a player that you could build a club around. We've heard a lot about his relationship with Ross Lyon, but what he, I think, will do could potentially have the flow-on effects, couldn't it, to someone like Tom de Koning about whether he's, weighing up to get to Moorabbin or not. They are the two players that, then the flow-on effects, as I say, for a destination club, for even more players to come. So those two calls in particular are just going to be so vital to St Kilda in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and look, I think we would all have said for someone like Tom de Koning, he desperately wants to play in front of big crowds, but that's not really the case. I think he wants to be in a team that can win a premiership, and he's really asking his manager what's happening with someone like Nasai Wanganeen-Miller. He's really keen for him to be there. He doesn't want to be rucking to someone that's not Naz. Zach Butters. So these destination clubs, you look at the clubs he's looking at, they're teams like Western Bulldogs and Geelong. They're right up there again. So all this really factors into the disequalisation ladder or the lack of competitive balance. It's something the AFL's really trying to work on. But, these teams right up there, they've had a lot of premiership success or close to it, and now they're getting the best players again. So, you really feel for the North Melbournes, the West Coast of the world, who are going to be stuck down the ladder for a very long time to come.
Yeah, that's where that reputation matters with Zach Butters. I think we all know he goes home every single minute he gets the opportunity to. He loves getting back to country Victoria, and that's something that Geelong doesn't even have to sell him on. Everybody knows that reputation of the work-life balance of Geelong. You're already on the western side. You don't have to get through the city and all that sort of stuff. So they don't even have to put that to him. He probably knows it already. That's where, I guess, the history of this seems to work in your favour.
Love to know where you two would be off to as unrestricted free agents, the Gold Coast Bulletin, the Adelaide Advertiser or the Mercury.
Tasmania, because they've got the golf courses.
They've got Barnbougle just up the road, Ralphie, that's right. That's it from us on Tackle the Headline. We'll see you next time.